Welcome to the ITSP Magazine Podcast Network, a modern, innovative multimedia platform, broadcasting ideas and connecting minds. Every company has a story to tell, from the small startup to the large enterprise, and everything in between. This is one of them. We hope you enjoy this brand story conversation.
Marco,
Sean,
it's time to dig deep into the inner workings of our good friend's organization.
yeah, one that we thought it was just one-man show. The whole thing.
It's probably, I don't know if it started as a one-man. For us,
it started as a one-man idea for sure.
One super cool dude had a super cool idea, and it's become something really even beyond super cool. And that's BlackCloak. BlackCloak. It's great to
that dude is
Chris Pierson. Chris Pierson. Yeah,
Chris.
I'm happy to call you a friend, my friend, and so happy for you and the growth that you've seen and experienced, and the good work you're doing for the community of CISOs and their families and organizations that they represent.
Super happy, super good to see you guys. Like post RSA, it's like everyone's alive, right? I mean, who knew?
We're still here.
We survived.
No, but it's great. It's good to be back on. It's good to chat with you guys, mix it up a little bit. I brought some friends too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know we might be able to get into a few good topics here.
Well, you wanna do
We'll
the
give you the honor.
You guys can you guys can ping at it and suss it out a little.
All right, I'll do it. So I'm thrilled to. Let's see, where do I go? Sorry, Ryan. I'm going to go with my fellow product manager, product developer, Matt Covington joins us here on the show, representing BlackCloak and all the product stuff that's going on there. And then, of course, Ryan. I don't know if you have the harder job as the CISO, and then certainly helping CISOs do their job with the support of the services that BlackCloak offers. So if you didn't guess, we have product management and Matt, and Chief Information Security Officer with Ryan. Thank you guys for joining us.
You're welcome.
And you're just starting to warm the seats there at BlackCloak. Probably drinking from the fire hose at this point, getting up to speed on everything. Maybe a quick few words from each of you on some of your history, some of the stuff you've worked on in the past, and what shapes you for doing some cool stuff now at BlackCloak. Matt, we'll start with you.
Sure, absolutely. So I took a very interesting route into cybersecurity. I actually have a master's degree in literary theory, and in no way, shape, or form did I ever expect to end up in the world of cybersecurity. But, just so happens that got married, moved to California. Tech companies were the companies that were hiring, and just really fell in love with technology and the difference it can make in people's lives. I started out in box software for the Macintosh computer. Shout out for Stuff It Deluxe for the really, really old people on the call here who may remember that. Sean, you mentioned you were at Norton. From there took a journey through some leaps into, first of all, sort of IT service management, a company called BoxZone in Maryland. Sean, we were just chatting about our friend Brian Reed there. And it was a really great adventure, really starting to address problems that were definitely security adjacent, if not actually security. And then from there, I spent 8.5 years at ZeroFox. And again, this was sort of the cutting edge of a new category of security platform. We eventually evolved to be sort of what we describe as external cybersecurity. You sort of had telemetry of what was happening on your network. You had sort of the ingress, egress point on the network. And then you had everything that was happening outside the network, social media, phishing attacks, malicious domains, and did that for 8.5 years, and now super excited to be at BlackCloak. And I think as we've discussed, BlackCloak is one of those sort of uniquely mission-focused companies. Chris leads with such passion and energy for the problems we're solving. It's hard not to get really excited and really carried away. So I think from interview one, Chris and I were pulling books off bookshelves to share with each other that were And so I think we hit it off right out of the gate. And so, yeah, really, really excited to be here.
And for those that don't know, box tone is an important piece, I think, especially for what BlackCloak does. Box tone is deeply entrenched in the mobile space. And I think CISOs have maybe one, perhaps more mobile devices. So good to have that experience for sure.
100%.
Ryan, what's going on?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. And Matt, you hit it on the head. I think working backwards, actually, from the mission that we had at BlackCloak, it's and I've heard this story time and time again as I've met more of the team. It really is the intersection of protecting people and applying what brought a lot of us into security, whether we started in technology like myself or tertiary important roles like product or engineering. It's protecting people, and we've seen the impact this has had on different people's lives, right? Personally, on my own family, people I've worked with and for. And so my background spans a wide gamut in security, anywhere from security leadership, traditional blue team, to security services delivery, places like HP Fortify, BugCrowd, Mandiant, for example, but also red team and some of the hacker side of things as well, so bringing some of that tech. And those are all important to me. But at the end of the day here at BlackCloak, why I'm here, much of what Matt said, great leadership, great mission, the opportunity to make an impact on Monday, and I'm really happy to be here with what we're doing.
And I think that's kind of the, Sean, Mark, it's kind of the cool theme here is, look, like we want people, we want to bring together, A+, individuals that are just like so deeply knowledgeable about their areas. But more so what we want is folks that actually have that empathy, that empathetic side of, I actually want to help the CISO, the CSO, solve this big, massive problem for their executives and their families. But at the end of the day, it's all about helping people. Or on the flip side, and the high net worth side, is I want to help them because they're uniquely targeted because of their financial reserves they have. And at the end of the day, I want to help them and their family and the people. And when you find two great individuals like what we have in Matt and Ryan that have the tech, that have the knowledge, that have the expertise, that have the culture, and that get up and go, but then they're aligned into the mission and not just agree with the mission, but it drives them each and every day. It comes out in our product and it comes out in our stance on cybersecurity. For me, it's kind of the best of both worlds, and I just love it.
I love that you went there, Chris, because as they were sharing their story, it's a story that it repeats. And me, when I look at things from a branding perspective, because that's my main hat that I have been wearing for a long time, is that knowing you and knowing what BlackCloak does is that you're really a true company. Like you're not faking it. I mean, I know you have this mission, you're driven by this, and to see that, people are walking the talk, I think is very important for the team. And I'm sure, Chris, when you choose the team, you look at that.
It's the front thing that we do. It's a top-notch item there. Once you have that, everything else falls into place. If you don't have that, it just ruins everything else. And there really becomes no common shared platform of understanding of what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it. And it's one of the cool things that our clients pick up on as well. I mean, when we're having conversations with CISOs, when we actually say, hey, look, you have a bad day inside the four walls of your company and there's anything we can help you with externally, call us, text us. We'll take care of it. I get phone calls and texts personally from CISOs that I've known for, 15 years. Hey, can you jump on this? Can you give me some advice and guidance? Can you help us out here? What can you do? Yeah, absolutely. An opportunity to help, an opportunity at bat is where we love what we do. We shine and we really get to enhance the relationship.
Yeah, we've been there, Chris, right? I mean, we've had some of those situations where we're on the other side of that table, and it's nice to have a network of friends, a partner that you can call. And just extending that to having some rails and services, that's just a natural evolution of that.
Well, it all comes back to, for me, I'm fortunate enough to not be a CISO and just get to talk to a lot of them and get invited to some conversations, a lot of them off the record. And it all comes back to the community and trust. And if you have that trust and the ability to have the conversations that are real and meaningful, so you can see the path from problem to solution, even if you're not the one solving the problem, or you have friends in other places that can help come in and solve the problem. I think that's where it all comes together. Doing that at scale is where it becomes really fun, right? So I'm going to go to Matt and talk to you a little bit about what are some of the things you hope to do with the product side of things to help multiply Chris and the rest of the team and make that community and the communications and that level of trust scale out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to touch on something Chris mentioned before, right? He used a word that I have always used hiring product managers, and that's empathy, right? Somebody who is able to put themselves into the seat of the person that we're helping and sort of really try and understand the pain from their point of view. At the end of the day, you know, cool technology only gets you so far. Smart people only get you so far. You really need to be able to drive that down to the point of solving problems for people. And so I love the relationship with Ryan already, right? You know, I think we've had some great conversations. And the way I view my role in some respects is, in our ideal world, Ryan is our pioneer, right? Ryan and his security team are out there in the wilderness. They're experimenting. They're figuring out what needs these CISOs have. They're figuring out really creative ways to solve those problems for them. And then the technology team comes along behind and sort of paves that road out, right? Allows us to use it at scale. And so I think one of the formulas we're looking at, we need to be able to, you know, if we want to do what we say we're going to do as a company, we need to be able to sort of massively scale delivery of services without having to necessarily scale costs proportionately behind that. And really, I think what that means in the cybersecurity world is sort of starting out with the intelligence cycle, looking at all the different phases and finding the bits of that intelligence cycle that tend to be very repetitive, right? That initial collection of data, bringing in data, labeling the PII elements in that data, all of that kind of work that in a standard security model can be very time consuming. There's a lot that you can do with automation so that when you put something in front of a Ryan, in front of one of Ryan's team, they're starting from a further along the road than they would otherwise start. And so they get to spend their time solving those parts of the problem that uniquely benefit from having that human being in the loop. And so I think that's the way I look at the partnership between Ryan's unique role as both a CISO, but also the driver of security innovation within the company, from the role of product, right? It's just exactly how do you scale that delivery? How do you break down all of the playbooks Ryan and his team are following and find ways that we can leverage technology to do bits of that faster, more efficiently, so that we're able to actually get the real benefit from that team creatively solving problems.
And I want to, sorry, Mark, I want to connect this to Ryan because it's important. We haven't said it, and I'm going to encourage everybody to listen to the other stories that we recorded with Chris to get the full lowdown. But we're not talking about a security operations program in an enterprise. We're talking about the CISOs and the executives and board members and other high net worth folks that are part of what make that company run, that happen to be targets, them and their families, right, to bad stuff. Bad stuff happens to them, which then leaves the company, well, them personally and the family at risk, and then ultimately the company at risk. So the company is not equipped to deal with that at the personal level. That's where Chris and BlackCloak and this team come together to help. And so it's a different conversation than which MDR am I deploying across 10,000 machines. It's not that scale. This is what devices are we using at home? What networks are we connecting to? What social media platforms are we using? Where are we sharing our data? Who has access to my devices, my children, family members? So that it's a different conversation. So Ryan, I want to get your perspective on that as you're talking to CISOs specifically, other executives, and some of the other folks that BlackCloak protects.
Yeah, I think it's a great distinction, Sean. When I think of this, and as I came to meet more of the team and more how we deliver, it's an opportunity for us to be flexible, to adapt. You mentioned some things like you've got a pattern of what devices are deployed or what your EDR is for an enterprise. Our clients are like us. We've got IoT devices at home. We have a smart home control system for lighting or other things like that. And so our team's conscious of that attack surface and how we can do things like penetration testing, hardening of different devices, and tailoring those to their needs. That concierge service we talk about, to understand the risk reduction through technology, through education, and then again, onto the right, as if anything were to happen, to be able to respond quickly and help. And some of the things, Matt, you spoke on about the efficiency and the scale, that also helps us with that. It's a cost consideration, but the more we can tee up that service for my team and I to review and engage quickly, we can also apply more of that concierge service that's very important to us.
I want to stay with Ryan, because when you start introducing yourself, you mentioned about hearing experience and even things that happen to people or personally to yourself that kind of then motivate you to look at things now from, not just business, this is life. And then we go back to empathy once again. So I'm curious to know what was like that moment or those moments where you were like, this is really not just technology. This is humanity.
Yeah, security is a human opportunity, right? And that's where the empathy should come from. I think I'd give you two examples. Way back early in my career, I did technology consulting. Think general IT support for some high net worth folks as well. And I'd seen things like phishing attacks and going after them personally for folks they knew, and some of that very targeted spear phishing, as we say, and how tricky that is, how easy it can be for any of us to be victim of those things. Being a victim, it's not your fault, but the impact that can cost us our life, the stress, the fear of not just the immediate impact, but what else might happen, the embarrassment for maybe even falling for something, but feeling that way, even though you are the victim, that person is a victim. So early in my career, I've seen some of those and helping with that, and the frustration I felt and the pain I felt to see those people go through that and wanting to help. And then later on, as I matured in my career into security leadership, candidly, a little bit of anxiety of where we could protect the house. And when those executives and that staff that I was a partner to, left those four walls or had their iPad or went home, knowing what types of risks they were exposed to and how that can bleed over not to just the stress of their personal life, but impact our business as well. And saying, I wish I could do more about that. But then as we talk about at BlackCloak and share that privacy and that sort of separation of church and state, I don't also want to know what their family has on their personal devices or maybe some of that family business. And so I'd say that anxiety or wanting to help, and I would approach that through education and partnership, but knowing the limitations of that. So definitely both of those things resonate with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, any of those stories?
Yeah, I agree with what Ryan's saying. I think it very quickly becomes personal. I think my own family, right? Parents are older, they're engaged in technology, and all the time, the emails they get, and they're lucky. I'm 10 minutes away down the road, and they get in their car and drive over and pop in, and I get to read their emails for them. And so you really get to see just how targeted people are. Again, it's just that unfortunate reality of there is, nation state scale, industrialized attack platforms out there that are targeting these people. And again, you're talking about life savings, you're talking about ability to pay for healthcare. And so it is so innately personal, I think, once you see the problem from that point of view, that, it really does give you that passion for the mission.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, when we talk about relatives and so on, unless our relative is a celebrity, it's a random thing that could happen to them, right? They just like fall in the net and swim in it. But when Chris came up to us with years ago with this idea, it's like, wow, these are people that actually there is other people, the bad guys, with the intention to and the time to research and to target and to find a way in. It's a different game.
And what's so interesting about it, though, it keeps on following that same course and pattern. Like right now, literally, some of the largest breaches, but Scatter Spider, they're taking advantage of not just the executives, but of their family members too, and all the rest. It's like everyone knows how to exert pressure on people. You exert pressure in the personal life, it transcends into the company. You go ahead and have a breach in the personal life, you can go ahead and get into the company. You go ahead and mess around with the family there, it takes the executive off of scope, off of time, and it impacts the company. And the person that, always is getting calls like, my prior life, and then, Ryan as well. It's like constantly getting a phone call, and how do you go ahead and do that? And how do you march down that line? And we're not putting the genie back in the bottle on this one, folks. Like, this is people, the amount of home constructions, everyone got a new home office, everyone this, everyone that, the amount of standing desks that are now in the homes. I mean, this is crazy. The home is the new battleground. Cyber criminals know this, nation states know this. They're coming for the executives there. You can, doing one thing like a privacy only approach. I mean, obviously better than doing nothing, but it ain't good enough. It's not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Data broker removal is like one small essence of things. You got to actually have protection, actually stand guard, actually be there as a concierge. I like Matt's concierge. He gets in a car and he'll be there in 10 minutes. We're going to productize that. I want to see those SLAs.
Matt at scale.
Yeah,
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, Matt as a service.
But it's like, it just, this is going to be continuing. And the fact of the matter is cyber criminals onto something really, really good here, and they're only going to amp it up more and more.
But it's such an interesting intersection of people and technology, right? And I think as an industry, we've gotten really good thinking about, network vulnerabilities and how you address those. We're dealing with behavioral vulnerabilities, right? People's tendency to pick up the phone, to respond emotionally to, hey, your kid has been arrested and needs bail money, whatever that attack is. And I think BlackCloak, got my old hat on there, but BlackCloak is uniquely situated at that intersection between the two things, right? Bringing technology, but at the same time, thinking about this from that behavioral vulnerability point of view. And that's why the concierge service, the training, the LMS that we have built into the platform are so important in complementing the technology, because technology alone is not going to solve this problem.
Yeah, and I love that you went there, Matt, because I was just thinking, an employee in an organization has the backing and support of IT and security and the executive team and HR, perhaps even, to deal with certain things. You go home and a lot of that goes away, right? And so you kind of touched on it. You have to have the awareness of what could go wrong, right? Where am I weak that I could be targeted and exploited and taken advantage of? And then it's how do I raise the bar of my own security posture for me personally, my family, my environment at home? And not a lot of folks have the ability to do that. And when we're looking at a security operations program in a business, we have the ability to have a conversation at the executive level, operational level, to say, what's the risk? What controls can we put in place? What other mitigating factors can we employ to achieve some objective, but not disable the business? And you start bringing technologies into the personal space. And just my own experience working with family, you throw a VPN and a firewall on, and if something has a hiccup, right, the first reaction is turn that stuff off, or yell and scream because I can't access anything, neither of which are great. And so that's where I think what you provide through BlackCloak is the full picture, right? Awareness, understanding, how do we take control? How do we work with BlackCloak to shore those things up? So I don't know, Ryan, have you started to have conversations with some folks where you're able to say, what challenge do you see? Here's what we're seeing. Here's where we come together and complete that circle with you.
Absolutely, Sean. Yeah, and that last piece, that last mile is very important, right? There's some context and pragmatism of what to do, that trade-off of maybe additional security and their lifestyle and their needs and how they want to use technology. So being thoughtful and talking through that, cutting through the jargon, distilling this down to the settings on your iPhone and how you can improve your privacy and some of those things, explaining the potential impact, talk through what it means to turn something on and turn something off. To your point, Sean, if we just say a checklist of items without that context, without that concierge service, you can run into things that the ROI may not be there, or it's too inconvenient and you don't have that context, or worse yet, the person doesn't understand adequately what they're receiving the benefit, right? So that's what's important beyond the technology is the people, and the technology helps those people work more effectively, efficiently, and scale. It's very complementary. The whole thing, the balanced breakfast, I'd say, is very important for that reason.
I want to extend this because I'm very passionate about the psychological aspect of all of this. And of course, I share all of that. I'm with my parents now in Middle East. So, it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? But the point is, Matt, like when you roll out in the product, like I'm thinking like you do a product and you think about user interface. If it's not easy to use, people are not just going to use it. And I may talk about anything. When it comes to cybersecurity, it's like I feel like the challenge is 10 times as much because people just don't care, right? And you can force feeding that in the corporate environment, but that at home, I think that the psychological aspect of creating the product, but also, again, translating the product and trading off what you can do versus what you cannot do is the core of your business.
100%. I mean, Chris has what he calls the mom test, and we talk about this all the time. It's, you know, and again, it is, we are, on the one hand, we're a cybersecurity company, but our customers are members, the people to whom we have the obligation are not cybersecurity professionals. And so it's just critically important we try and think really carefully and intentionally about the wording, right? You know, what are we choosing to put on screen? What numbers are we choosing to put on screen? Do they make sense? Do they convey what story are we trying to tell? And so I think a lot of times we're always kind of pulling things back to the storytelling. So a new interface, right? What is the story we're trying to tell? What are the outcomes we're trying to present here? And really thinking this through of, could you hand this phone to someone on the street and have them look at the screen and be able to derive what it was doing? I mean, going all the way back in history to doing box software, we used to spend Saturdays standing outside Fry's Electronics in San Jose, right? And we'd have the front of the box for Stuff It Deluxe. We'd have it displayed there, and literally we'd open it up, put it down. Okay, what do you remember? What did you see? What did you take away? And so again, it's just that glanceable. People don't pay a lot of attention. People don't read all the words, and so trying to figure out what it is that people take away, and that sort of glanceable information, I think, is very important.
I miss Fry's.
It's a box of floppy disks.
Oh my gosh, I miss Fry's. The amount of money I spent there, and it was like a direct deposit from my paycheck. It just like went straight.
Yes, right, exactly right.
You do need another Antec case with super cool LED lights. Yes, I do.
There you go. Well, I want to take this conversation, Chris, maybe to you, because I mean, we talk about culture in the organization at the enterprise for security awareness and security programs at the enterprise level. We're now talking about it at the end user in the home and out and about. And some folks want to have control and visibility. Others don't want to have control and visibility. They want somebody else to do it for them and just take care of it for me. So you help with that. But when you're looking to build your team, what do you look for to help ensure that you have the best culture to match those different environments? Somebody who, if it's a security executive, somebody who knows but needs help at home with the family, somebody who doesn't know that needs help but doesn't really care, they just want protection. So what are some of the attributes you look for in the hires that you make to have a culture that supports all those nuances and situations?
It's an interesting question. The human element of this is massively important. I always have hired off of three things: tech, and the tech could be, if you're a lawyer, it means you're the best lawyer, the best finance person, the best HR person, whatever. But whatever you say you're doing and good at, you're the best there. Second, kind of culture, and we'll go to a little bit deeper on that. Three, which actually is really the secret sauce, is it's the get up and go. It's just, can you get shit done? Can you go ahead and actually tackle something, not wait for others, and return it back MVP fashion, but can you just go and solve stuff? And that's overall how we hire for everything. The culture piece is super important in terms of, we will hire individuals that enjoy technology, know technology, but they might be a 6 out of 10 on cyber maybe, or something initially. And we will make them a 10 out of 10 through our learning management platform, learning management system, our central controlled everything to make them the best that they can be. But in order to make them successful, they have to be super high on the empathy score, super high on the listening score, super high on the alignment to mission score. They've got to be culturally aligned, and they have to actually be able to solve really, really hard problems and think through that in terms of our clients, their parents, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 for high net worth families, a CEO that has a they have to go jump on and do their quarterly earnings call in 10 minutes, and yet they need to talk to us and they only have 5 minutes. We have to have people that are super empathetic there and really, really aware of all those things. That is actually the thing that is the hardest to hire for. Sometimes tech folks can go too deep in the hole and they can't come back up to understand either the business logic of things or the human element of things. And if you're missing the human element, it's just done from day one. It's something that is really, really hard to teach. We can teach cyber, we can teach tech, but you can't teach the human element. Those people are the ones that we gravitate towards, the ones that have that massive human element. They will be successful in the long term. And then we, both Ryan, in terms of from a chief information security officer side, training them, learning labs, capture the flag, all the rest of these things, we'll build them up to be a lean, mean fighting machine. And Matt, from an enablement perspective, BlackCloak builds its own software externally, internally, all the rest. Like from an enablement perspective, what can we actually do to better enable, better equip, better arm the person to better serve the client? And so those things all kind of triangulate in our mind.
I love it. Now I'm going to go to Matt and Ryan. Your perspective on the culture that you've experienced thus far from BlackCloak. What is there a moment where you just said, "Thank God I'm here. This is amazing"? And if you can describe what that is.
Should we get Chris out of the conversation here?
That's right. Yes. Chris, you have to put your
yes, exactly. Headphones on.
It's really interesting. So I definitely knew all about BlackCloak through reputation, right? And the thing that, externally, it was that last mile, right? Translating the technology to people. And so I think for me, as I was sort of, again, this is a company I want to talk to, that was definitely the lead in that made it this is a conversation I want to have. I think from day one, you just see examples of people being willing to go above and beyond, whether it's, jumping on calls, late in the evening, over the weekends to handle an emergency situation. There's never any sense of, wish I didn't do that. And I think the big thing is, the thing I really enjoy about the company is that sense of celebrating achievement, right? And so we celebrate those individuals who go above and beyond. And there's a great generosity of spirit that goes around the company in recognizing, this unique situation we're in, having to translate, the technology down to people. And so, I think very, very early on, it was just super clear that, again, that sense of mission isn't just Chris, right? It exists at all levels of the company. And just watching some of our security teams, some of our, success team interact with customers is fantastic. I think an early example of knowing that this was a company that was built differently was, it was either right as I was joining or right after I joined, but the big AT&T breach. And so one of our team had pulled it down, searched through, and again, we don't have to process this breach document beginning to end, break out all the parameters. We just need to find the bits in there that are actually going to impact our customers, our CISOs, our organizations. And somebody took the time and the effort to do that. And again, it was just that, going above and beyond to get the right information as quickly as possible in front of our customers. And so, it was quite funny, many weeks down the line from that, getting my letter from AT&T telling me what BlackCloak had told me three weeks before or 4 weeks before. And so again, it was just that nobody told somebody to go do that. Somebody just like, that's interesting. I heard about this. Can I find it? Yes, I can. Can I pull it down? Can I break out those company names? And that's just the great example of, talked about the relationship between sort of pioneers in security and then sort of automating, doing it at scale from technology. Those are the sort of invaluable moments. Somebody figuring out that a customer has a unique snowflake problem we haven't seen before, figuring out how to solve it, coming back to the company, us being able to sit down, celebrate the achievement, but is it repeatable? If so, how do we repeat it? How do we do that again with lower effort? And so, again, it's just, I think there's just such a great culture of collaboration, top to bottom, of the organization.
Yeah, I definitely echo many of the things you mentioned there, Matt. Having joined shortly after yourself and seeing a lot of that through, my own onboarding with the questions I'm asking, but also very key folks leaning in to say, you should know about this, or here, let me help you with that. Very, very proactive and helping me learn, helping me understand opportunities, pain points, things that our clients need, and really accelerating my ability and ongoing to lean in and be able to add value and help. I certainly appreciate that. And just to add a bit, I was fortunate to join before a team offsite from some of our security operations center colleagues. So seeing those folks in person, same thing, authentic people who care about what we're doing, who want to help me help. And so that goes anywhere from, Matt, like you were talking about some ideas around ideation around different product things and being proactive in that, to the basically what's antithetical to that's not my job. I've never heard that here. I've never heard anything like that here. It's how can I help? People spin up a group DM and Slack we use to chat, or jump into a Zoom, a video chat, and say, let's solve this thing. And so it's not about org charts, titles, or what's on a Monday. It's we've got something to help each other with a really nice eye to how do we do this again? Or did we capture that good idea? Did we capture a note so we can put that in a runbook? So I touched on several things there, Matt. You said it very well, but I've seen those things myself, and that's not accidental. So anywhere from the leadership team and some of how the previous conversation about how we hire, that permeates, and it's very important. I say secret sauce for an agile growing company like ours, it matters a lot. So happy to be here. Why did we join? Sort of the aha moment. I'd say like day 2 or 3, people messaging me saying hello and then bringing me things to learn.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Super cool. Super cool. Well, Marco, are we gonna join the BlackCloak team?
Well, I'm waiting from the letter from Chris, because I know I'm good with people. So
I gotta make sure you guys get the T-shirts and all the BlackCloak swag and gear.
Right? That's right. I like your thing there. Listen, we didn't really touch much in exactly what BlackCloak does, but we've done it many times, many conversation with Chris. Many chapter going from hacking cars to privacy to other personal stories with other friends in the CISOs in the industry. So always great, and honestly, really good to see that the company is growing with very, very valuable people like Ryan and Matt, and looking forward to meet more new BlackCloak team people in the future,
right.
and see you succeed and growth, and for everybody interested in learning more and even get in touch with you guys, there'll be a ton of links and notes in the podcast or the YouTube video that you're watching, and of course Sean, we'll have another conversation, and always looking forward for that.
No, we love it. Thank you guys so much. And Matt and Ryan, obviously, thank you for being part of the growing team.
It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks, guys. Nice to meet you, Marco. Nice to meet you, Sean.
Likewise, Marco.
Likewise. Yeah, it's great to have a genuine conversation with genuine folks and Marco.
Yeah, and Sean.
Now, Chris, keep up the good work, my friend. Congrats on all the success and milestones along the way, and the two new folks, Ryan and Matt. Glad to see you join the team, and looking forward to seeing what you guys do with the product and the engagements with the executives.
It's all about this team. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you. So thanks everybody for listening, watching. Please stay tuned for more from BlackCloak, of course, and for more brand stories here on ITSP Magazine. We're always looking for fun stuff, and this is certainly a good group. So thanks everybody.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will come back for more brand stories on ITSP Magazine. If you want to share your company's brand story, go to itspmagazine.com and explore our advertising options to learn more. Remember to share this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues, and stay tuned for more brand stories as we continue our journey toward redefining cybersecurity, technology, and society.